Hello, I am Lisa J. Stocks, and thank you for tuning into this week's Stock Talk episode. We are going to get started. Trying to get a few things set up. Sorry about the delay. But yeah, we're going to get started today. And I was inspired by a live stream that I saw a couple of days ago. Today's pretty much just going to be just an open chat and just a story time of me reflecting on my own personal experiences and how different money situations has shaped me over the years, starting with my earliest memories concerning money. And some of the things I really hadn't thought about, but I've been interviewed several times by different people, and they've let me, their questions have caused me to think about certain things. And so, my earliest money memories, someone asked me about that, and 2 that came to mind were that, I was always kind of, I guess, hearing my mom and my family kinda stressed about money, and there was a time period when I, as a little girl, was outgrowing my clothes. My mom took me to the store to get me some new things. We were in the dressing room. I'm trying on a bunch of things, and after I tried them on and she made the pile deciding what we were going to take, I was concerned. I was like, "That much? You can buy all of that?" And now thinking back as an adult, when I take my daughter to the store, she's not, she doesn't think about, is this too much? Are you gonna be able to pay for this? Or how are you gonna do it? I don't think that crosses, that ever crossed, my children's mind when we went to get something. They would think, "We're going to the store, everything is fine. We can afford to get it." But I was worried, and I was, didn't it shows me, thinking back, that even as a small child, I didn't want to do anything that was going to cause my mother and my family any additional stress, even if it was something that I needed, like clothing, school supplies, something like that. Um, and another early money memory that came to mind was, uh, that my mother, no, not my mother, my father had driven on the shoulder of the highway and gotten a ticket. He was very close to the exit that we lived off of. And I think I must have remembered probably an argument about this situation, and me being just so disappointed and hurt that my dad was now causing a financial issue, that we were gonna have to pay this ticket, and all he needed to do was to be patient and, just deal with the traffic, and now he caused the situation. And so, these are not things that I think a little girl should have been so in tune with, thinking about, but these are the type of things that must have shaped me into the person that I became today. And so those are 2 examples. If you guys wanna share in the chat, I'm gonna probably do a couple of segments and then take a break and go through the chat. But if you wanna share any story of your first money memory, if you could just write in the chat, what segment your comment ties to, in case I don't get to it right away. But that's number 1, or if you wanna put a number 1 in front of it, if you wanna comment and share what are your early money memories. I've asked other people that question, they've told me, like, going to the corner store and buying things. And I of course, probably have money memories like that. But when I was asked, those are the two, like, most prominent stories or situations that came to my mind. So let me take one break just before I go on to the next segment and say thank you to Vincent for that super chat. I appreciate you. I know next Sunday is going to be Super Bowl Sunday, but my live is earlier than the Super Bowl, so I do plan on being here next week. I think next week is Super Bowl Sunday. I'm not even 100% sure on that, but I think it is. And thank you for Joe. Thank you to Joe for being in the chat, being a member, a moderator. Members, please use those members emojis and drop your membership milestone so I can make sure to highlight you guys also. And okay, so now let's go on. Like I said, guys, if you want to share your earliest money memory, feel free to do that, and I will be coming back to that in the chat. Now, point number 2 that I want to start to talk about is every dollar having a job. And when I started working, this is one good thing that my mother instilled in me, is that she always had, even if it was a small amount, she had a Christmas club that she did through her credit union, as well as just a regular credit union account. I'm sure that it wasn't anything significant, but at least the Christmas one allowed her to have, a little something put aside for that time of year. And so that's something that I also started doing. I worked at the same company that my mom worked at for well over 10 years, and she worked there for nearly 30 years. And so I also did that. And I want to touch on that because that was, I didn't have the presence of mind of understanding certain things. You just kind of do them. But now that I am, sharing my journey and using these different terms and things, that was my start to having an emergency fund, setting up sinking funds. And that has developed into something different today, but it's just that was the first stepping stone into doing it. And I think it's a great thing to incorporate is having some of your savings. We're definitely going to get onto investing, but having some of your savings automated so that you you don't have to do it to the level that I do or some others do. You can just have one account that is the to emergency funds, savings account, cash that is ready to deal with whatever comes up. But if you want to be a little more detailed, you can have an account for vacation, for holiday expenses, for your next vehicle. I know I happen to use Discover, and I have many accounts with different names for different reasons. And so it helps me to break things down. And of course, all of these accounts belong to you. So if it comes down to it, you may have to take some of the money for the, housing repairs and fix the car, for example. But at the same time, maybe it'll give you a good incentive to see how your things are building and just have those different buckets and goals set up in that way. So this is point number 2. If anyone wants to share on that, you can put a number 2 and make a comment in the chat as to how do you set up your different accounts and sinking funds, or how do you goal set? Just have one account and that's just your go-to for everything, or do you like to have things set up for different reasons? And so, okay. And I think when we think about, budgeting and saving, we really need to take it seriously. And I always say, if you don't want to make the full commitment to every single solitary month, like getting down to a zero-based budget of knowing, where every last dollar is going, at least start by doing it. Take a 3-month time period, look back, and get a handle on what is going on as far as your finances. How much are you eating out? How much are you paying for subscriptions and gas and all those different things? The essentials, the variables. Break everything out into different categories, and then you can then determine if there's anywhere that you can make improvements, if that's what you're striving to do in order to increase your savings, or um, maybe increase your investing. Get rid of debt, those things, because every dollar that you find can then be reallocated to something that is more important to you when it comes to your budget. Okay. All right, so that is number 2, if anyone wants to make any comments related to that. And I see a couple of people. Let's see. Okay, so Jane, Jane is sharing that she has a few accounts, but do don't do individual sinking funds. Okay, well, what's Dr. Ninja sharing here? 2026 is my first year setting up categories in sinking funds. All right, all right. I do zero-based budgeting, but I have a one expense buffer outside of my emergency fund. Okay, okay. Yeah, everyone, whether it's investing or saving, don't feel like it's a one size fit all thing. There is some flexibility in certain aspects to it, but I want us to be on board to do, some level of budgeting, definitely having savings put aside, not being intimidated by investing. But like I said, we're all going to go about it in different ways, and there are different methods to go about it. So you're on the journey to save 1,000 for rainy days. Okay. So guys, one thing I do want to share that if you don't already have it, it's okay to start small. And if this could be your first goal, if you don't have it already, I would love for everyone to at least have one paycheck in a high yield savings account. That could be a first step for yourself, or any working person should have that to give themselves that first initial buffer. And then from there, you can set a goal as to, 1 month expenses, 2 month expenses, and move up from there. But I think that's a good first step to have. I'm not tying it to a dollar amount because everyone's earnings is different. But if you don't even have even one paycheck put aside, that you are literally, you would say, 100%, you are paycheck to paycheck on having money. Let's have one paycheck put aside, so that you have that to fall back on. And then from there, of course, continue to build on it and set the next goal. And if something comes up where you have to dip into it, you have to put something on your credit card, don't beat yourself up about it. That's what's going to happen. And that's why we're working to build up those savings so that you can take care of yourself, your older self, yourself today, in whatever comes up. And so, excuse me. Yeah, I had 2 drinks up here last night. I was live last night with Anthony from About That Wallet. Thank you guys that tuned in last night. I did tell you I would be back again today. And so have that notification bell on so you can catch those pop-up lives. But I do always try to be here on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, so now let me see if anyone else had put, oh, here's a number 2. Let me stop and take a look at Joe's. All right, so Joe says, I now have separate accounts for different automatic payments. I have a credit union account, high yield savings. I have a money market account and 2 separate bank accounts, all um, at Fidelity. Okay. So yeah, everyone is going to be different, but you know, make a goal, figure out what feels comfortable to you. But from what Joe is sharing, I definitely know that she has all of her money, whether it's in cash. Well, this is all related to cash right now, but whether it's a high yield savings account, the money market account, definitely at Fidelity, they have, a competitive APY when it comes to the S packs or wherever you may have cash sitting. So she's making sure to maximize her money and not have it at a local bank, which is going to be at like 0.01%. And like I said, even if you're starting out trying to get to that one paycheck or $1,000, or you're working on a smaller goal, have it in a high yield savings account. Even if you're earning, I would rather be earning, you know, 10 cents a day than 1 cent in 6 months. You might think like these amounts are small. I don't have a big account yet, but start striving to earn that interest, because what you're going to get at your the brick and mortar bank is very so insignificant. And it might be something new to you if you've never done it before, but there are many insured, reputable banks out there that you can be comfortable with using, even though there may not be, most likely will not be a physical branch for you to go to. Um, I don't know if that's an obstacle for people. It's definitely different for most that are used to having a local branch, which I do have that also, but I try to keep a minimal amount of money there because the interest rates are very poor. Okay, so let's see. One paycheck to me is 1 month of rental property mortgages. That is my goal. 1 month of rental property mortgages. Okay. Yeah. So you have something very specific that you want to be ready for. And of course, as a landlord, you have to be ready for when there are empty units and potentially just a tenant that is not willing or able to pay on time. You want to still be able to pay your mortgage and stay in good standing. And I am also a landlord, so I definitely know the feeling. And so thank you, KG, for tuning in. Is that a little airplane? What is that you put in the chat there? I can't tell exactly, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for chatting. All right. So yeah. So Daryl, you are kind of the inspiration behind today's live of what you did on Friday. So it's more conversational, more of a story time. I'm telling different stories as I go along. I hope I will share more. But I really want to just let you know how I got here today, and my money mindset and my relationship with money, and how it has evolved. And so now on to, let's see, investing with intention. And so I take my investing very seriously. Sometimes I hear people talking about their investment account and they're just kind of like, it's just sitting there. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I have that. But I mean, I really want everyone to have a full understanding and be connected to their investments. I was that person. I was that person years ago when I was 19, 20 years old and I started contributing to my 401k. I signed up for it and that was that. The money was coming out of my check. It was going into the account. It was being invested. But yeah, I was not having a handle of looking at the statements and the quarterly performance and all of that. And so I really want that to be a huge part of what I continue to bring across on this channel is whether it's a job you've been at for some time now, a new job, make sure you're taking the time, if you have a 401k or 403b, something that is you have a limited amount of investment choices through your employer, have an understanding of all of your choices and make sure that you are in tune with what is truly the best choice. And one quick example that I'll give you is I had an employer that when I signed up for the 401k, when I started working there, I was defaulted into the target date fund that corresponded to my potential age of near to 65 years of age. And once I gained more knowledge and became more hands-on with wanting to review every single account that I had, I then saw that FXAIX was an investment choice that was available to me through my employer at Fidelity, which is an S&P 500 investment there. And so I, at the time, left what I had already contributed into the target date fund, and I changed my going forward contributions to be 100% into the S&P 500. But if I hadn't asked, I would not have known. I use Fidelity, and under Fidelity, if you go to the net benefits tab, you most likely will be able to see all of the investment choices. And I haven't done any research on it. I need to maybe ask ChatGPT or something on how the companies determine what is going to be available to their employees as far as the choices of the investments. Because it's something that's very interesting. And I think a lot of us are not putting the work in there, and in time losing so much money and being in underperforming investments that are too conservative for our age, because that's the system that these financial advisors are building. And this is not financial advice. I am sharing my personal journey, and I definitely have found that there is time for your portfolio to recover. And I don't think that people need to be conservative, having any percentage into bonds and some of these type of investments when they're in their 30s and 40s and really plan on working another 20 plus years, because it's just not, you're not able to capture as much of the growth and gains that you really can take advantage of, because you have time. Time is on your side in continuing to build your portfolio, and time is on your side, like I said, in the need for you to, have that buffer if there is a downturn in the economy and you need time for your portfolio to recover. And that's a part of investing. So you have to be ready for that, but within reason, so that you're not losing out on so much gains. And I did a video last week where it's a quick video, I think only about 6 minutes, where I elaborated again on um, the goal of not touching your retirement account, even if you think 5,000, 10,000 now. Don't think about that amount now. When I ask you in 20 years and you tell me, oh yeah, way back when I took this amount out, think about what it could have become. So, all right. So let's see. Fast Eddie is saying, I agree. I feel the same way, Lisa. No bonds till you turn 55. Okay. Hello, Purple Rain. Thank you for tuning in. Okay, let's see. All right, taking a quick look at the chat. All right, so now let's go on to, and guys, let me know if you have any questions or, any related to, like, how did I get here? What money mindset, has shaped me along the way. Now, this, I don't know. Whenever I think about advocating for yourself, for some reason, this is the first thing that always crossed my mind, and it's not related to finance, but I'm gonna bring it back to finance, most definitely. But when when my at one point, my grandmother was ill. She was living at, in a nursing home, and she was taken to, a local hospital. And when we went to the hospital to, check on her, she was, not doing well. She wasn't talking, she wasn't really coherent. And, when we went to the hospital, they were like, "Oh, is this how she normally is?" And it just put me into shock, and I'm like, "She's laying there, she's not doing anything, she's not talking, she's not," and they were asking me, "Is this how, is this the norm?" And, I had to really strongly tell them, "No, not at all, like, this is very extreme, this is not her normal behavior of not, she's not doing anything at all, and this is," but they did not know her. They were not used to being around her, They did not know what her abilities were because she had just arrived there. Okay, so let me tie this back to finance now. Um, we have to set goals for ourselves. We cannot just be in a place where, like I said, you sign up and you're defaulted into what someone else feels is the best fit. Let's just, use this as the uh, most likely, easy, standard way of going about investing. And I really had to have a shift in my mindset when it came to that. Especially for my first job that I worked at for the longest length of years, before getting laid off. Once I left that job, I let that money sit for over probably over 5 years, and without, feeling intimidated by the amount. Even once I started investing for myself, investing for my daughter, doing more research, I was kind of feeling like, I'm never going to handle that large of a sum of money myself. But thankfully, I put that out of my mind and stopped letting anything intimidate me, because once I dug in and I really gained the knowledge and had an understanding, I was like, I see that there is an issue here, and I am the only person that has access to this account. This account is my retirement account. So I have to get in there with my goals and my standards and what I've learned, and I now have to advocate for myself. And I had a few meetings with that particular brokerage company, like I was just sharing about combing through all of the different investments that they had available if I was to continue staying there. And I came to the point where I said, this is not the place for me. And I had to move it and take a handle of it. And I I'm so glad that I did, because I've done a detailed video and breakdown, and used some AI to project where I would have been if I continued there, as far as the fees and the growth of the portfolio. I've made drastic changes that have improved, my outlook on growing that particular account. And so I say all that to say that don't be intimidated by the amount. Don't feel that, your portfolio is too small, like, that you don't need to put an effort into it. Whatever the obstacle, whatever you might have in your mind, I want to give you the encouragement to say that it's yours. And I want it to be maximized. I want this to be there for you. I want you to be able to grow your money in the way that is, in line with what you need. I want you to achieve your goals, whether it's related to retirement, buying a home, putting your children through college. But you can't just trust that someone else is going to, um, get these goals accomplished, and in a way that is completely with the consumer, in mind in achieving these goals, because we are still dealing with business. They're running a business. They have people. They have employees. They have goals that they want to achieve, and so they may be putting us into something that is going to, be more conducive to them earning money, where we need to be on our end doing our research so that we can combat that and make sure that we are building up our portfolio and achieving our own goals. Um, I hope you guys are getting an understanding of what I'm saying. I want us to be empowered and feel confident. And if you don't have the confidence, get yourself in a place where you're around people that are striving for the same things, so that you can ask the questions, have the conversations, and build that confidence. And I'm glad that I got there, and sometimes you have to be a little bit transparent with someone else around you in order to get there. But um, I've seen huge improvements to people's portfolios, even in 1 quarter, by just taking the time and putting that work in, and opening your eyes to what was right there, but you just didn't know how to ask the right questions. And I think that's kind of why I start off thinking about this often in a medical way, like I was sharing about when my grandmother wasn't well. When you have medical situations, I think it's good to, you might, in those type of situations, have someone going to the ER with you, or being there when the doctor is giving the information. But there are certain aspects to our lives that we try to keep private, and finance might be one of them. And by by being as transparent as you are comfortable with, even just sharing the investment choice. If you're not willing to share the dollar amount that you had, that's not the point. By sharing with someone else what the choices are, and doing the research, if you're unable to do it on your own, just doing the legwork, then you can make the improvement. But find a way to be comfortable and have an understanding of what's going on in your finance, because there's no reason for us to be losing out. Our goal is to build wealth, and just because there is a lack of knowledge, we need to find a way to, get past that, and not allow this to impact us when other people are reaping the rewards in such a dramatic way. Okay, so let me see. Let's take a look. So we have a comment here. Yes, be active, not passive on all of your investment strategies, whether it's 1K, Roth IRA, brokerage account. Get the fundamentals down to improve your life. Yes, that is exactly what I am trying to get across in this point. Let's take a look. All right, let me take a quick station break. If you're not already, subscribe to the channel, give this live a thumbs up, put that notification bell so you can keep up with my videos and live streams. Check out my referral links. They're in the description of this video, as well as all of my information is in my link tree if you need to find my email address or anything like that. It should be in the description. Hello, David. Thank you for tuning in. All right, so Fast Eddie is sharing here. I got laid off in 1990 and I took my 401k money out, which was $5,000, and 3 months later, I got the company match. So that amount since 1991 until today would be well past $30,000. I'm guessing it did not get reinvested and was not able to flourish in that way, but at least you have your eyes open to that. And thank you for sharing that scenario. Um, because this is what I mean, that 10,000, 5,000 from yourself and 5,000 from the company, you are willing to know, to share and realize that um, using the investment calculator, you can determine these things for yourself and know where your portfolio can grow to. And I saw someone recently and they were saying, yeah, I don't like when people are saying, their account is just sitting there. It's just sitting there. I don't I look at my when I look at my account, if it's just sitting there, if I have that attitude when I look at, something, that it's not good. If it's just sitting there, I'm gonna have to get a handle of it and get it to, make some changes so that when I look at it, I'm happy. I see that it is thriving and flourishing. I'm talking about my portfolio like it's a plant or something. But yeah, I want to look at my portfolio and feel like it's on track. Now there are ups and downs. It's not, I always say it's not a straight line up, but the point is that when I look at it, I want to see, year to year. I add up all of my investment accounts and I put that sum into the investment calculator. And I say to I put it in and I say, okay, in 5 years, where can this grow to? In 10 years, where am I going to be at? And it makes me happy. I'm not looking at it with anger. I'm looking at it, feeling good about what the future is going to hold. And that's what I want for all of us. And so, definitely, by taking any sum of money out, we're not going to be on track for that. You really have to do your own research prior to investing. Most definitely. Most definitely. Ooh, I don't know what Anthony was referring to back here. 6 minutes is all it takes to do what type of research or what budgeting? What was that about? All right, let me go down to the bottom here. I spent my 401k at 35 years old and I started over. Yep. But along the way, Daryl, I'm glad that you really have built up your real estate portfolio in order to, but you just like what Eddie was sharing, that what that money would have turned into all these years later. Okay. Let's see. I think I'll touch on a little bit about uh, maybe the sandwich generation. Uh, so, if you guys are not familiar with that, it's when you are kind of in the middle where you have, like myself, for example, I have a minor child that cannot drive yet, that I am, providing financial uh, everything for, food, housing, everything. And of course, clothing, education, everything is where I have to have my hands in. But on the other end, I also have a mother who can no longer drive and needs help with certain things also. And so that's just a quick example of how I fall into the sandwich generation. And I'm touching on this because we have to be willing and ready be to do the tough work and answer the tough questions and be responsible and think, you want to do things today, but where is that going to get you in the long run? And I want people to be aware of this, because when you hear the statistics and the numbers as to how much you need to have for retirement, some people don't have realistic goals or do not have a goal at all when it comes to building their retirement portfolio and what their income is going to look like when retirement rolls around. So, as far as, if there is a pension, if you are going to receive Social Security, and then what amount of a investment account are you going to be able to build up? How much real estate do you have that potentially, down the road you may sell or even still be generating income from? So, I say all that to say that when we're making choices today as far as paying for weddings, paying for, buying your children a car or helping them with their education and all of these things, are we in the position to be doing those things, or do we need to be prioritizing, uh, focusing on ourselves and investing for our future in order to take care of ourselves and when we are a senior. And we also need to really be thinking about what type of job that we're doing. Is it something that is physically demanding that you're not going to be able to do in your late 60s, perhaps? And with so many changes going on right now with layoffs and technology and AI and robotics and all of these different things, we all need to be ready for the potential of our employment being impacted and not being able to be replaced as quickly as it was 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. So we have to be keeping our mind on what the future holds is basically what I'm trying to touch on there. And I definitely am in that place where I realize that for I was in debt, in my 20s. I call those the lean years. I was in debt. I was a mom. I had not finished college. And yeah, there wasn't a priority on saving, investing. I really started just to learn about uh, how interest is really going to accumulate when it comes to using your credit cards, being responsible with credit. I always paid my accounts. I can't think of a time when I ever just didn't pay my credit card bill, even if it was just minimum. But yeah, I'm sure I my credit score was nothing impressive because I was probably very close to my limit. And so now that I have an understanding of all those things, I'm definitely trying to share that knowledge with my daughter. Hope that she uh, doesn't have to go through all of those different stages that I did, but all I can do is pass on the knowledge and give the encouragement and hope that she listens because she doesn't have to um, create all those struggles that I did. But I made a lot of mistakes along the way, and sometimes you might even feel like, you deserve certain things because you didn't have them when you were younger, or you see everyone else has them. And um, you just have to really take the time to dig deep and think about the big picture sometimes, or create a balance. If you know you want to travel and you want to eat out frequently, uh, are you then going to be paying a high rent and have uh, be having a car payment and a high insurance? All those things piled up are just going to have you in a place where you're never going to be able to build wealth. And so you have to figure out what your priorities are. And I would say I want to I keep using my daughter as an example, but I want her from day one to be on track to create a situation where investing and saving is not like whatever's left. you have to be creating that situation that this is a priority and this has to fit into the budget. So let me not get into this expensive apartment where there's not going to be anything left. And you also have to be ready. And I feel like now over the last, I've only had my been sharing in this way, having a YouTube channel for the last 3 years. But even in that time frame, things have changed so drastically. As far as if you had a budget, the rent increases, the amount of potentially taxes going up, our, of course, our car repairs, groceries, car insurance, everything has gone up so much that, someone who just started out a couple of years ago, I totally can understand why some young people have gone back home or have to have roommates or have had to make changes because it is just a situation right now where it's harder than ever to build wealth and be on track to save and invest and have the goals that I'm talking about. But I still want to give that encouragement to strive to achieve that. And like I said, don't buy an expensive car. Don't put yourself in these situations that are going to have you spending every dollar and not be able to make plans and move forward with having a way to build up your investment accounts, have those buffers with savings when something does come up, because yeah, that's how you run into so much debt. And it's not a good feeling. It's not a good feeling. And now let me talk a little bit about that. Um, when I was younger, I now when I look at I can't say I'm always thrilled, but when I have to look at my whether definitely when it comes to my investment accounts, I'm not looking at it with any stress or like it's like a disappointment, it's more of enthusiasm, and the same thing when it comes to even my checking account. Yes, your checking account, that's just for in and out and paying your bills, but when I go to look at it, it's not that I'm stressed that I'm down to my last, I'm less than $20 or something, and I'm not even going to be able to, I couldn't even take a 20 out of an ATM if it came down to it. And that's the type of situation that I was in when I was younger. And I don't ever want to be there again. And so I'm glad that I've finally in time, at least been able to create things little by little uh, towards making sure that I never feel like that again. And I hope that you guys are willing to, if have your mind open to it, or if there is someone around you who hasn't started investing or saving, tell them that it doesn't have to be a lot of money. It just because it's a 10 or $5, $10, you can open there are many places that you can get started that don't have high limitations that are going to hold you back. Really, I'm saying all this to say that there should be nothing that's holding you back from getting your finances together as far as opening an IRA, a Roth IRA for your future retirement goals. If you don't have that built in at your employer, starting a savings account. You don't have to think that I need to have a huge amount in order to get these things going. So, guys, let me know your thoughts on what I'm sharing. Because I'm here and I know like today is just kind of like an open chat, and like I said, just kind of a story time. But I definitely always think that a smart person is willing to learn from someone else's mistakes. And I hope that I'm sharing things that you can take from and not necessarily have to go through those same mistakes. You can reflect on what I've where the mistakes that I've already made, and you can move forward doing better than I did because you don't have to go through it. Because I'm sharing and trying to let you know that there is a better way. And you might have to make certain sacrifices, like I was mentioning about maybe if you can, living with family a little longer than you want to, having a roommate, doing different things in order to have yourself on track to um, being more financially stable. I was watching something, it might have been a reel or something on Instagram, and it was a lender that was talking about how, um, say, it's he was saying that certain people of certain ethnicities, they never come in with, say, 6 people to go on, 1 mortgage applications, but other ethnicities, he sees it more frequently. And so I would love to see us being more of a community, being family, and coming together in order to achieve goals of having real estate, of taking the time to make those sacrifices, even for a few years, in order to not have to have ourselves in debt in order to have property, purchase vehicles, get our education or, training as far as, whatever skill that you might be wanting to take the time to achieve. Because it's not always about going to college. And now I don't even know what college degrees really I even want to talk to my daughter about going into because it seems like AI and different advancements are really uh, hitting all different aspects that many probably didn't think would ever be impacted, um, as far as like the medical field and things like that. But whether it's a trade or whatever it is, take the time to focus on uh, doing that and getting yourself in a place where you are able to build as much as possible towards having your financial goals on track and taking care of yourself in an adequate way without having to be into debt, be putting yourself into debt. Skills and trades are taking over college. Yes, I agree. I agree. And I don't even like know what feels to say that I want to give. I really don't have any insight that I want to say on that right now. It's a tough thing to think about, and I definitely have seen that. I was out on the live last night. I was giving Anthony the example of I wish I had been taking all of my earnings from working in corporate America years ago and been focused on getting myself a laundromat or something, just a really, really practical business instead of thinking that you can rely on those type of corporate jobs to last. So I'm here that my friends and family are mostly uninterested in saving. I'm just glad I could get a couple of on board. Yes. And, that's how it's going to be sometimes that uh, your immediate circle. I'm not one to say that, people are for a season and a reason and to get rid of anyone, but you have to know who to bring and certain goals and certain things too in order to have a decent conversation. I don't always want to be the most knowledgeable in the room. I want to be around people that are going to uplift and encourage me and turn me on to different things and help me to advance when it comes to whatever my goals are. Today, our topic here, my channel is about finance. And so I definitely put myself in the atmosphere of being around people that are going to give me that encouragement and an atmosphere where I'm gaining more knowledge, and it pushes me to strive harder. And as you know, and also, like I said, when I discover something, I'm not keeping it to myself. I'm going to share. And most people, many may not do anything with that information, but for those who do, I'm not gatekeeping. I want us to all be moving forward and thriving. And so feel free to ask me, questions specific to my portfolio and different things that I have been on track to achieve. And let's see, Backyard Trucker, thank you for that super chat, and thank you for stopping by the live today. And I'm taking a look back to see if there's any comments. So let me know if you have any comments or questions. I believe next Sunday is next Sunday Super Bowl Sunday, guys. I said this earlier and I was like, I'm not 100% sure. I think it is. Go down to the bottom. Yep, it's Super Bowl Sunday. So I plan on being here next Sunday. Because yeah, I keep to my time slot, and most of the time I feel like whatever we have to do does not conflict with what I am sharing. But just to highlight, this is another last week and this week are huge earnings weeks. We have 6 out of the 7 in the Mag 7 that have earnings between last week and this week. Nvidia is the only one that's kind of later on towards the end of February. But out of big tech this week, I think I hold about 4 positions in my portfolio, and all are doing well except for Disney. But I posted this to my community wall. I usually post every week. I post the earnings calendar only if there's really nothing to highlight. But as you can see in this week, I highlighted many companies as far as big tech, healthcare, media, energy, all different type of areas that are having upcoming earnings. But most notable to me and ones that I hold in my portfolio, I have Amazon, Google. I do still hold some Disney. I sold some a few months ago and I shifted it over to Netflix. And there was one more that I have. What is it? Oh, it's AMD. I think that's up here too. Yep. AMD. I have a small position in AMD. That's a more recent addition to my portfolio, but Apple was last Thursday. Apple is my largest position when it comes to individual stocks. And one of the first investments that I invested into outside of my 401k was my Apple stock. But I also have positions in Amazon and Google. I have some shares that I'm holding in all of the Mag 7 companies. And then I have a few other blue chip stocks in there also. But always remember, guys, you don't have to, you know, figure out how to build a portfolio mixing up all of these individual stocks. I started that way and then I pretty much took a break from it and said once I discovered and got an understanding of how to build like a strong, stable portfolio, I took a break and then I started to incorporate some ETFs, some funds like VTI, which is the Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF. So an investment like this, it's going to give you exposure to all the companies in the US, the small, mid, and large cap companies. You're going to be most heavily weighted into those large cap companies, but there is a way to, I don't want anyone to ever have an excuse when it comes to saving or investing. There is a fit for everyone when it comes to this. If you're not to that stage yet, if you're, working on debt repayment, whatever stage you are in your financial journey, I want you to know there is a way. You just have to, put the work in. There is a fit. There is a way to make progress. And if you're not ready to figure out individual stocks yet, I can definitely direct you to some low cost, diversified funds that are basic. So this is something that's on my most foundational level when it comes to my portfolio. And then you can, from there, I feel like right now I'm in a place where this level is solid. And so I then have been focused on incorporating more growth focused funds, as well as those quality individual stocks for additional growth in my portfolio. And so this is an example of a growth fund. This is FSPGX, which is a Fidelity large cap index fund. And then, companies that like Google that are having their earnings coming up have also helped me to build my portfolio. But those are ones that, you have to have more knowledge about and have to be ready for volatility. You may have to have a lot of patience when it comes to holding those individual stocks. And you may even want to use a feature called the stop loss if you are unsure of something in your portfolio, so that you're not ever in a fund that potentially could be coming down and with no determination of if it's going to recover and come back. So that does happen. Every investment does not turn around. That's why many say that investment carries risk. It does carry risk, but it's a risk that you can definitely be able to navigate and deal with I see that we've gotten a raid. I'm guessing from Goga. Goga Raid. Yes, Goga Raid. Goga Raid. Thank you. Thank you guys for coming over. Goga gave me a little warning and pep talk the other day about and I since Goga, I was set up for you today to make sure that you guys could come in. So guys, I am based in the US. I am on the East Coast, USA. I don't know where everyone is coming from because I know Goga is I believe in Kenya. And so you have such a diverse audience, but I just want to share that. And on this channel, he probably gave you an update, but on this channel, I talk about investing and all things money. And so, but my investments and, my reference of the 401k and the UTMA, which is an investment account for our children, the things that I share about are based on my experience of living in the US. So if this is a topic that you may want to come back and learn more about, or you have any questions, please subscribe, ask questions, and thank you guys for coming over today in the read. So let me know if you have any questions right now, and I will make sure to take a look back through the chat and see if any of our new guests have any questions about what I share about on this channel. Lisa, let's see what's the statement let me put this up. The statement you made brought back memories. My first sergeant looks me in the eyes and said, a smart soldier learns from others' mistakes. I live and invest by that statement. Yes. Yes. And I mean, I try to keep on tying things to financial things, but I yeah, like you're saying here, it applies in life in general. I think a smart person takes from other people's experiences, and if they've had a good outcome, you potentially can see that that is a direction that you can go, but you also need to take a look at the good and the bad. And that's what I'm here to share in order to hopefully help you guys to see that. And I want you to know that investing is not hard, but I've had my struggles and I've made those changes in order to be on a different path now. And I think I've really made strides to definitely build a strong foundation when it comes to my portfolio. I have a portfolio. It may not be exciting, but it doesn't cause me stress and it is steadily growing. And that is what I want for myself. And um, I'm not adverse to having some more growth focused investments in my portfolio. I do also have some crypto in my portfolio, but I'm creating a balance that I am comfortable with. And like I was sharing earlier, I do also build in that buffer for myself that there are certain time frames that we're going to have to be ready for the time that we need to give our portfolios a chance to recover. And so let's see. Thank you so much. Everyone really appreciate the love over here. Oh, thank you, Goga. Thank you guys for coming by. And let me know if you have any questions. But I'm going to see if I can pull up an example of what I was referring to in my live last night. And I'm not showing you, I don't talk, I want to just be real with what I share. And I don't want anyone for something to come up and you're kind of surprised by it. Now, this is 40 years of the S&P 500, which is a standard that you can use as far as the growth of how the overall US economy is going to move. And I was referring to last night was, depending on your age, you can remember some hard times that we've been through. 2008 was one. The S&P was down about 37%. And then I think I was also referring to this stretch of 2000 to 2022, where we had 3 consecutive years of a downturn when it comes to your portfolio. Now, there's also long stretches of, continued growth, even if it is some years at 1% and some years at 32%. We have to be ready for those time periods when there is, a downturn. And when we look at investing, I want to paint a truthful picture because I don't want to see people being shaken out of their investments and some investments, like I said, not everything is going to recover, but I want people to start with investing and think about it long term. If you have a goal that is short term, then you need to be ready to protect that money, maybe shift it into something else. If you're, 67 years old and you know that well, not even before you're 67. Don't wait until that close. If you are approaching retirement age within a few years, make sure that you're shifting your portfolio into things that are in line with your retirement age so that you're ready and you're not going to be in a place where you're stressed about a particular downturn that's going on when it comes to the stock market. And so, um, I just wanted to chat today and just share some of my own personal stories and journey, and just continue, as always, to encourage you guys to not let anything hold you back, because there is a way, there is a fit for all of us to take a part of the potential and the advantages that come from investing, having security when it comes to our savings and not putting ourselves into debt. And I want us to move forward in this way and make strides to do our best to not um, create a lifestyle for ourselves where we're always giving into those wants and not thinking about how we can really be thriving financially. So I'm going to go through the chat and see if there are any questions. Again, I want to thank the channel members who have tuned in today, as well as the mods that are helping and always here greeting everyone, to Vincent, as well as Backyard Trucker for those super chats earlier today. And I'm going to take a look back through the chat. You guys made it safely over to me in the US. Um, Willis, I'm not sure what I was showing when you were asking about aggressive stocks or funds. All right, so guys, let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'm taking a look back through the chat, see if there's anything. How is my weather? My weather is very cold. I have not been outside today, but it is currently 19 degrees, and according to my phone, it says it feels like 2 degrees. So I might have to at least. Oh, I have to go pick up my daughter. I have to pick up my daughter. She's at her friend's house right now. So yes, my car will be getting started. I've been trying to make it a point. I was warned. I had a discussion with my can't think of his name, my mechanic. He said that I should be start the car every day, because there was one day my car wouldn't start. And I've been keeping at least a half a tank of gas in my car also, because I frequently am parking outside. So yes, it's out there in the weather. And so I want to make sure that I don't run into any issues. But yeah, feels like 2 degrees right now in my area. Okay. So guys, I appreciate everyone that came over from Goga. Like I said, if you live in the US, or you think that, you will enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell, as well as anyone else who came across my live today in the shorts feed, or by someone who shared me out. Okay, someone's sharing here that they just started their Roth IRA about a month ago with 5 ETFs, and that sounds like a good start. Now, I'm not sure what those ETFs are. I hope that they are, diverse, and, not a lot of funds overlap, as well as low expense ratios. But it sounds like a good plan, and I applaud you for getting that started. Okay, let me go back down to the bottom. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to wrap up for today. But as always, make sure if you have any questions after this live stream, you can leave it there as well as on any of my videos. If there's something that is of interest to you, and you can feel free to leave me a comment and I can direct you because to a different video if I happen to have one on it, or you might be the inspiration for me to create a new video on a topic that is something that that you need an answer to, something that's going on, or a fund or something that is of interest to you. And again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in today, and make sure that every dollar that you are managing has a job and it is thriving. I don't want us to be looking at our savings accounts, our investment accounts, with any disdain. I want us to look at it and be proud and know that we are on track to build wealth and have a better outlook for ourselves, taking care of our older selves, and all of that good stuff that I'm always talking about. And I will be coming to you with more videos and shorts throughout the week, and live again on next Sunday. But as always, keep that notification bell on so you can be alerted to any pop-up lives. And I will see you soon. Thanks for tuning in.
And to investments, she made a lot on YouTube. Lisa J Stocks. Lisa J Stocks, that's the channel. Hey. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah. You will make a lot. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Hey. She'll make it pop. If you wanna make some money, visit Lisa J Stocks. Yeah. Hey. You will make a lot.